Welcome back to Year 11. Given the unprecedented times that we've all been dealing with in the last 6 months, you have made a fantastic start to the new academic year. I'm really looking forward to being your pastoral leader this year and hope that we all have a successful year moving forward. This video should help you achieve that. Academic success is the end goal for all Year 11 students this year. This can only work with a good pastoral support team, and there is a very strong team that can help the students. I am head of Year 11 and I have a very strong team of tutors that will be supporting each student every morning from 8:45 until 9 o'clock. Emails will be available using their surname and first name at wallingfordschool.com for any form of pastoral care contact. The other two people that will be important this year are Miss Ward, who is the careers advisor, where every student will be having at least one one-to-one careers advice meeting, and in some cases a second and third one, to try and guide them to the correct area. The school health nurse, Miss Forno, will also be available for any students that need to see her, and this will come through a referral from myself. Clearly, in the 6 months that we have been off school, it's been a very challenging time for both students and parents and teachers. And there is a huge importance to returning back to some sort of normality. We have started this really well in the last few days, and there are some key messages to stress about the importance of being in school. You can't underestimate face-to-face tuition and interaction with the staff, and just even over the last 2 days, I know teachers have really enjoyed being back in a classroom and teaching again. Reciprocal learning is essential, and you can learn both from your teacher and from others, and we haven't been able to tap into that facility with the online learning that's been going on in the last 6 months. And finally, which shouldn't be underestimated, the social aspect of being in school and seeing your friends and socialising and mixing with others in the year group bubble that they have been put in is really essential to everybody's mental health. As I've already described, there is a school health nurse system for any medical needs that would come through a referral from myself. We also have on site 2 school counsellors, which if necessary can be referred to by myself as well. In the 6 months that we've been off, we know that people have come back with a bit of anxiety and stress about the future, and we can use this facility if necessary. On Friday mornings, there is a PSHE programme for all year groups, and you'll be able to see on the right-hand side the Year 11 programme this year, which has a really good mix of revision to focus on that academic success, but also the extracurricular and life skills that are needed for people of their age. Extracurricular activities are still available to all students after school, both sporting and non-sporting, and we're trying to maintain the house system despite moving to a year group pastoral system. In this current climate, it's everyone's responsibility to take care of themselves and everybody around them. We have come up with the mnemonic of CARE, which means students need to clean their hands regularly, catch it, kill it, bin it, make sure in their areas that they are staying within the Year 11 bubble and that they're also in their social time staying in the allocated spots, following the one-way system and the routes that have been provided, and ensuring they are prepared with the equipment that they need for the day so that we can minimise movement around school. Linked to that, as you can see the guide on hand washing, it is really important that students wash their hands thoroughly and use the guide that has been provided. I think finally, if we can link pastoral care to the academic structure, we will ensure that there is a success for every student in Year 11 this year.
So I'm the Year 11 Raising Standards leader, and a big part of that role is making sure that Year 11 students are as successful as they possibly can be this year. So what does success look like? Well, we often see success as simply as this. The bit above the water, the bit that's shown in the media, in the press, and for people that we see around us. And even we've got lovely pictures from our students celebrating GCSE results. They only a month ago. But actually, when we think about success, it's far more than that. It's all the stuff that we don't generally see, the hard work, the disappointment at some points, the failure, the sacrifice that we have to make. And actually one of the things that's really important for us as members of staff to do during the year and for families supporting students is to guide students through all of these various things that will make up their Year 11. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk through the key curriculum messages that are important for Year 11 students and their families to know. So first of all, a really obvious one, the qualifications themselves and the grades, what the year will look like from start to finish. And it would be amiss if we did a Year 11 information evening without mentioning revision. So I'll touch on that as the very last thing that we go through. So the qualifications and the grades themselves, we're probably used to now seeing GCSE grades going between 1 and 9. But I've included there at the bottom of the slides those grades in old money, because I always think it's quite important of us to know that when we're looking at grade 6s, we're talking about the top of a B grade. When we're looking at grade 9s, it's not just an old A star, it really is the top level that you can attain. And alongside that, you can see the vocational grades. So when students get things like progress reports and mock exam results, alongside GCSEs for those taking vocational qualifications, they will also see those types of grades. So distinctions, merits, passes, distinction stars if they're getting the very top grades. And the importance of those grades, well, they act as currency for what we want to do next. And thinking about particularly for next year, we always emphasise the importance of English and Maths because they really are the gateway qualifications for what students want to do next. Whether that's going on to sixth form, a college, an apprenticeship, or even future employment, getting the best possible grade in English and Maths really is essential. For those students that end up with grade 4s and 5s, they typically will go on and do vocational qualifications, so BTECs. Certainly if they come back to us, that's often what we'll offer. Those students that get grade 6, if they come back to Wallingford, then we've got a whole host of A-levels that they can choose from. And students often want to study subjects that we don't have at GCSE, so things like media studies and sociology, philosophy and psychology. And for those subjects, rather than looking in a grade 6 at a GCSE subject that links directly to it, we might look at things like English and Maths instead and check to see whether they've got grade 6s in those subjects. Alongside making sure students go on the correct courses at Wallingford, we also make sure, with the help of our tutor team and people like Miss Ward, who's our careers advisor, we look at the various other colleges and sixth forms that are around us to make sure the students end up in the correct place. And if you don't end up with grade 4s, so if students just fall below grade 4, we still at Wallingford will take students doing the Access course, and that's a course that's designed for them to be able to redo English, Maths or both, and then a few more GCSE and other qualifications to top up what they've already done this year. So on to the important dates for this year in Year 11. The first one we'll come across is the sixth form open evening. So that's a point at which students and families can visit us and have a look at the various subjects that are on offer and get a bit more information about what the years will feel like at sixth form and what qualifications they need to get this year in order to go on and study with us. In the middle of October, we'll send out our first progress reports, which will be the first indication of what teachers think students are capable of at the end of this year. So we'll give predicted grades alongside attitude to learning and various aspects across their subjects. We then, in November, we come to our first Year 11 Parents' Evening, a chance to actually talk face-to-face with members of staff and have a look at what's going right in the year and what could be improved to make sure this year is as successful as possible. We then get to probably the most important point of the year so far. At the end of term 2, we get to the mock exam periods. It's for 2 weeks. We ask students to sit formal exams in the various subjects that they study. And off the back of that, once they're marked, it allows us, hopefully, to be able to signpost to students what they need to do to improve and get better grades come May and June time. To make that experience a bit more real, once students come back in term 3, we have an afternoon where we'll give them an envelope with their mock exam results, and we give them an opportunity to have that feeling or try and replicate that feeling that they will eventually have in August, looking down at a set of results and that feeling of either elation where they've done really well, or for one or two it will be disappointment, but importantly looking at what they need to do to improve later on. We then invite certain students and their families back for another talk where we look at those students that didn't quite get the mock exam results they wanted and what we can do as a school to help them as much as possible. And midway through February, we come to our second mock exam period. It's a shorter window this time, and it's really focused on the things that students need to do to improve and the things they wouldn't have been able to show us in that first mock exam period. This is a new addition for this year. We've then got a second parents' evening in March, and at which point we should be able to be in a situation where we can really hone in on the bits that are left for students still to do to get the best possible results. We'll then, in a bit more detail, visit looking at revision and what decent revision looks like, and we'll do another one of these sessions midway through March. And we then get to the point in the year where we would normally have the Year 11 celebration day and ball, the Founders' Day celebration, followed by the finale, if you like, the results day in August. The bit that sits right before results day and potentially Founders' Day is looking at the exams themselves. We normally have exact dates for those, but at the moment that's somewhat up in the air, as you might have seen from the media. Exams could be May in due time, they might be pushed slightly later on, and therefore those dates might be slightly movable. So lastly, looking at revision. I'll send out a separate presentation in the next few weeks, looking at revision in a bit more detail. And it will include some of these slides that I'm going to flick through now. But I thought I would just stop on probably the most important one, some of our top tips from students that we've had in the past. And I think all of these, the ones I'm about to display, are from students 2 years ago when they sat their GCSE exams. And I think they all add something to what we expect students to do during this year. So the first one seems almost ridiculous at this time of year, but to start early. We think the earlier students can get in revision, the better. Rather than leaving it to right before Christmas when they do their mock exams, or even worse, at Easter time in preparation for the real exams. The sooner students can start revision, the better. Asking for help. Hopefully, students are used to doing this now, but it will feel different in the context we're at the moment. Students can still ask for help, and it might end up being in a slightly more socially distanced way, but we'd still encourage students, anytime they need it, to come to their teachers and ask for help. And that can be going via their student email accounts, or even logging onto Satchel and communicating to teachers via that platform. It's also important to remember this year isn't just about working an ongoing slog of revision for the final exams. It's really important that we keep one eye on making sure we stay healthy. So things like making sure we're doing exercise and balancing all the things we do outside of school is really, really important. In terms of the revision itself, there'll be several methods of revision that work for students. Lots of students go for flashcards. It's a really nice way to be able to summarise revision in a really quick and easy way. And in terms of using those flashcards, this particular student has said that she was often tested on a long car journey. But that's the kind of thing you can do at home, that you can do with classmates in school and even during form time. I know Tuesday mornings have been giving over for Year 11 form time to revision, so that's a really good use of that time. And lastly, it's really important to remember, not now necessarily, but during the course of the year, that revision isn't forever. It's not something that we're going to keep on doing and doing. We'll get to a point this year where we finished exams, and at that point, we get to that wonderful period where we get an extra long summer holiday. And that's quite a nice thing to finish on, because that is something, I guess, that we can all look forward to.